The college football playoff of the Big 12. We're not in a good spot. There is not a realm right now that I see where the Big 12 will miss the college football playoff outright. Boise State, who plays, mind you, in the Mountain West and got a real harrowing win over Wyoming this week, will likely be the 4 seed in the college football playoff. Why, you ask? Now, look, this is where I could go into a dour conversation about how the Big 12's been beating itself up and the Big 12's cannibalized itself and the Big 12 just doesn't look how it should. And do we even deserve to get one college football playoff team? And, buddy, look at the SEC. That's a league full of teams that want you to think they're elite, the best of the best, the cream of the crop. Our Oklahoma State team beat their Arkansas team, who pummeled Tennessee. You know, like, transitive property doesn't always work out, but we're talking about an SEC that's beating each other up. And no one's saying, oh, the SEC stinks. So many people are saying, oh, the Big 12's not up to par. The Big 12's not good. Who in their right mind on that committee is putting us, Colorado, okay? Colorado, who has 3 losses behind Boise State, who, they only lost to Oregon by 3. Yeah, that was in week 2. And remember, based on Notre Dame's loss in Northern Illinois, we don't count week 2. We don't count early season games around here, especially losses. Remember that time they beat Portland State? What about Utah State, Hawaii? Their toughest game was a UNLV team that just didn't really pan out down the stretch. That's who we're hanging our hat on. That's who you're telling me the team that beat Nevada 28-21 is better than 2 Heisman candidates in Colorado. 17-13 against Wyoming. They're better than a BYU team that went on the road and beat SMU. Oh, I forgot. That SMU game was so early in the season it doesn't count anymore. We forget about those. Boise State is better than an Iowa State team that analytically, efficiency-wise, has been in the top 25 on offense and defense nationally, week in and week out this season, even when they slip up. Put Boise State in the Big 12. Maybe they go 7-4. Maybe they're sitting 7-4 right now. Maybe they're sitting 8-3 right now. Could be. But they're not in the Big 12. They're in the Mountain West, and they're winning against teams that couldn't compete in this league, and they don't have to compete against anybody. Anybody. And the one time they did was the Oregon game, and they lost. They still lost. There's an L. That's what the little letter right there is, an L. SMU, we've beaten them head-to-head. I mean, I looked up and down the SMU schedule. It's like, seriously? Houston Christian to TCU, who they pummeled? Yeah, for sure. I'll give it to you. Florida State, they're bad. Louisville, come to find out, they're not very good at football. Stanford, Duke, Pitt, Boston College, Virginia. BYU would beg for that schedule and then boat race all those teams. Similar, boat race wouldn't be the right word, but they would get a W in the same way they did on the road against SMU. What about also in the college football playoff rankings? I mean, we would all this talk of like, oh, well, maybe Army slips in there. Even I brought that up. What about Tulane? No. The team from the American is not going to be the 5th highest ranked conference champion. I don't care if it is Tulane at 9-2. Come play a Big 12 schedule. The efficiency rating, the Sagarin rating of the Big 12. So as topsy-turvy, wishy-washy as the SEC has been here throughout all of the year, as volatile as that's been, the Sagarin rating has the Big 12 as the 2nd best conference in college football behind the Big 10 because there is no depth at the bottom of that league. Whereas in the Big 12, arguably our worst team, Oklahoma State, has a Doak Walker award-winning running back. Our 2nd worst team in Utah has a top 10 defense in the country from an efficiency standpoint. And now you're saying BYU can't go to the college football playoff. Now you're saying that Iowa State or Colorado or Arizona State can't go to the college football playoff. Look, I get it. They're not sexy. Iowa State's not sexy. We don't bring college game day to Ames. We're not firing it up because the Sun Devils are hosting Kirk Herbstreit and the boys. We're not so excited that Provo, Utah is the site of college game day this weekend. ESPN wants to go to the SEC. We know that. We know that. These schools don't have the same brand of even a South Carolina. I struggle to disagree with you there. But leaving the Big 12 out altogether in favor of a team like Indiana even, I beg of you, give Indiana. I saw somebody who was like, well, Indiana lost 38-15. but it was fluky. There were moments of the game where the score doesn't reflect the actual outcome. But I looking at the box score, I'm looking at the score itself. Your quarterback had 68 passing yards, 8 for 18. Your leading rusher had 79 yards. Nobody did anything spectacular against Will Howard, who's a Big 12 quarterback, by the way. That same Indiana team with games against Maryland, Northwestern, Nebraska. I know Colorado not lost to Nebraska, but that was week 2, man. We already talked about this. Those games don't count. I beg some of these Big 10 teams to play the depth of a schedule that a Big 12 team is going to get. I beg some of these SEC teams like Texas to do it. Texas schedule, Colorado State, Michigan, UTSA, UL Monroe, Mississippi State. Name me one good team so far. Then they beat Oklahoma, who say, yes, they won against Alabama. They're still not a very good football team. Vanderbilt, Florida, Arkansas, Kentucky. What? I mean, you put BYU in that schedule. You put Iowa State in that schedule. They're going to the SEC championship. You know, like, listen to the teams I just read you. It's stunning how the only team on the Texas schedule that I'm like, yeah, we probably lose to Georgia. But just in the same way that we would lose to Georgia, Georgia would lose to Ole Miss, who lost to Kentucky, you know? Like, and again, transitive property doesn't work all that much. But I think we have to understand these college football playoff juggernauts are not who you think they are. That's my case that I play with the committee, is to actually watch the football and consider the depth of a conference, because the Big 12 is deep. It's not just this rollover league. And the conference champion will certainly get in. I'm going to die on that hill. No more Army. None of this, oh, well, Tulane. No, we're done. We're done. Boise State, sure. Give them the 4 seed. I don't care. I don't care. They didn't play anybody. Give them the 4 seed. Give us the 12. We'll go on the road. We'll play your 5 seed Indiana, and we'll show you what the depth of the league has built for us. Teams that are formidable. Clip it. We'll play your 5 seed India. We'll play your 5 seed Notre Dame. 5 seed Miami. I don't care. We'll go on the road. We'll send Iowa State. We'll send Arizona State as our team to do it. And it'll work out damn well for us. Coming up, BYU, whatever happened to you? Today's show is brought to you by Game Time, and I'm going to tell you about Game Time. This is Locked On Big 12, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is the place to go for tickets, and right now, I want to go very soon to an Avett Brothers concert at Bojangles Coliseum in Charlotte, North Carolina on New Year's Eve. Game Time. That's it, bud. Like, I go to Game Time and they tell me, hey, go to that Avett Brothers concert with the cheapest ticket guaranteed, or 110% of the difference to you. Curated deals to make it easier to find the best price on great seats. Super deals, seat views, that lowest price guarantee, and you get job loss protection, event cancellation protection. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app. Create an account. Use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account. I gave you that step, right? Redeem code LOCKEDONCollege. $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. Download Game Time today.